$2 million. For most Aussies, that number sounds like the finish line. Like if you can just get there, you're sorted. You can knock off for good, sleep in, travel a bit, and stop worrying about money for the rest of your life. But here's the thing nobody's talking about openly. $2 million might not be enough. And if you're planning your retirement around that number without knowing the real risks, you could be setting yourself up for a pretty rough ride. G'day and welcome back. Today, we're breaking down the 5 reasons why $2 million might fall short in retirement, and, more importantly, what you can actually do about it before you clock off for good. Let's get into it. Alright, reason number 1, and this one catches a lot of people off guard, is inflation. Now, most of us think about inflation when we're grumbling about the price of a flat white or a servo pie. But in retirement, inflation becomes your longest running enemy. Here's a simple way to think about it. If inflation sits at around 3% per year, which is pretty normal for Australia, the purchasing power of your money gets cut in half roughly every 24 years. So that $2 million you retire with at 65, by the time you're 89, it effectively buys what $1 million buys today. And with Aussies living longer than ever, plenty of us are hitting our late 80s and beyond. That's not some distant theoretical problem. That's your actual life. And it doesn't just affect your groceries. Think about petrol, private health insurance, rates, energy bills. All of it creeps up year after year, while your nest egg stays the same nominal size. So, here's the fix. Don't keep your retirement savings parked entirely in cash or low-growth assets. You need a portion of your portfolio still growing in retirement. That means keeping some exposure to shares, property or other growth assets even after you've stopped working. A rule of thumb, don't just plan for what things cost today, plan for what they'll cost in 20 years' time. Right, this next one is a bit more technical, but stick with me, because understanding this could genuinely save your retirement. It's called sequence of returns risk. Fancy name, pretty straightforward concept. Basically, it's not just about how much your investments return over your retirement, it's about when those returns happen. Imagine 2 people. Both retire with $2 million and both average a 7% return over 20 years. Sounds identical, right? But if person A hits a major market downturn in their first 2 or 3 years of retirement while they're drawing down their super, they're selling assets at rock bottom prices to fund their lifestyle. Their portfolio gets smashed early and never fully recovers. Person B gets the same downturn, but it hits in year 15 instead. By then, they've had years of solid growth. Their portfolio handles it fine. Same average return, completely different outcome. That is sequence of returns risk. And here's the scary part. We had the GFC in 2008, COVID in 2020, and markets have had some wild swings since. If you retire right before a major crash, the timing alone can derail a $2 million nest egg. So, the fix? Build what's called a cash buffer or a bucket strategy. Keep 1 to 2 years of living expenses in cash or a high-interest savings account. That way, if the market tanks early in your retirement, you're drawing from your cash bucket, not selling shares at a loss. Give your growth assets time to recover. Now, nobody likes thinking about this one, but if we're being fair dinkum about retirement planning, we have to talk about aged care. The reality in Australia is this: aged care is getting more expensive and the government is shifting more of the cost burden back onto individuals and families. The 2023 aged care reforms have changed how much you're expected to contribute, and the short version is, if you've got assets, you're going to be asked to chip in a fair bit. We're talking about a combination of daily fees, means-tested care fees, and if you're going into residential care, a refundable accommodation deposit, or an RAD, which can easily run between $400,000 and $700,000, depending on where you live and the facility you choose. In Sydney or Melbourne, you could be looking at an RAD north of $800,000 for a decent place. That's not a minor line item. That's nearly half your $2 million nest egg gone before you've even started covering ongoing care costs. Right, so here's the fix. Get a proper aged care financial plan sorted well before you need it, ideally in your late 50s or early 60s. Talk to a financial advisor who specialises in aged care, because the rules around means testing, asset assessments and pension impacts are genuinely complex. Don't leave this one to the last minute. Your future self will thank you.
Here's a stat that should properly get your attention. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, a 65-year-old Aussie bloke today can expect to live to around 85 on average. A woman? Closer to 88. But those are averages, which means a big chunk of us will live well into our 90s, and some of us will crack the century mark. Now, if you retire at 65 with $2 million and you live to 95, that's 30 years of retirement to fund. Even drawing a modest $80,000 a year, which gives you a comfortable but not flashy lifestyle, you're looking at $2.4 million over that time, before accounting for inflation, before health costs, before any of the unexpected stuff life throws at you. Do the maths, and $2 million starts looking a lot less comfortable. And this is the trap people fall into. They plan for an average retirement length, not a long one. The problem is, if you're wrong on the short side, you just leave a bit of money to the kids. If you're wrong on the long side, you run out. That's a much worse outcome. So, the fix. Plan for at least 30 years of retirement, full stop. Use a conservative drawdown rate. Many advisors in Australia suggest no more than 4% per year, and some are now recommending 3 to 3.5% given current life expectancy trends. Also look at whether a lifetime annuity, basically a product that pays you income for as long as you live, makes sense as part of your overall strategy. Alright, last one. And this is the one that nobody talks about because it feels a bit awkward, but it's real and it affects heaps of people. It's lifestyle creep. And in retirement, it comes with a very specific flavour. After decades of working hard and telling yourself, I'll do that when I retire, you finally knock off, and then you start spending. Overseas trips, a caravan, a kitchen reno, helping the kids with a house deposit, a new car because the old one's done 200,000 clicks. None of these things are bad decisions in isolation, but together they can absolutely shred a retirement budget that looked solid on paper. A survey by the Association of Superannuation of Australia found that many retirees actually spend more in the early years of retirement than they expected, not less. The freedom of having time and the desire to finally enjoy life kicks in, and the spending follows. And here's the thing, in the first 10 years of retirement, you're typically the most active, most healthy, and most likely to want to spend. So the years when you need to be most careful with drawdown are exactly the years when the temptation to spend is highest. So here's the fix. Build a realistic retirement budget before you retire, and I mean a proper one with specific numbers, not just a rough guess. Include a fun money or lifestyle bucket so you're not depriving yourself, but keep it within limits that your portfolio can sustain. Review your spending every year, and if you've had a big year of spending, dial it back the next. Retirement isn't a sprint. It's the longest financial marathon you'll ever run. So, let's bring it all together. 5 reasons $2 million might not be enough. 1. inflation slowly erodes your purchasing power over decades. 2. A market crash early in retirement can permanently damage your portfolio. 3. Aged care in Australia is expensive and getting more costly. 4. You might live a lot longer than you're planning for. And 5. Lifestyle spending in retirement can outpace even the best-laid budgets. Now, does this mean $2 million is a hopeless target? Absolutely not. For most Aussies, $2 million is still a cracking result and can absolutely support a comfortable retirement if it's managed well. But managed well is the key phrase. A $2 million retirement that's properly structured with the right mix of assets, a realistic drawdown rate, and a plan for aged care and longevity, that's a very different beast from $2 million sitting in a bank account earning bugger all while inflation quietly does its thing. So, the takeaway: don't just chase the number, build the plan around it. If this video gave you something to think about, do us a solid and smash that like button. It genuinely helps more Aussies find this kind of content. And if you're wondering what a proper retirement drawdown strategy actually looks like, or how to run the numbers for your own situation, we've got a video on exactly that coming up next. Chuck it in your watch later. Until then, take care of yourself, keep you super healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.